It was good. I mean, it humbled the hell out of me and, kind of lit a fire under my ass to get in some better shape, but it was a lot of fun.
Good for you, dude. Where was it at? Was it in town or was it like in the
It
Bay?
was out in Santa Margarita, just south of Slow.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. But
And
yeah,
those
I
are
mean,
pretty, those are like you're doing like obstacle courses and like,
yeah.
yeah, dude, right? That's
Yeah, it was
pretty
a
intense.
10K with 25 obstacles.
Nice,
And
dude.
yeah, I mean, I knew I was going to be able to get done, but I barely got done. So it was
Good
good
for you,
though.
dude. That's good. Jennifer wants to sign me up for a half marathon. I'm trying to convince her not to do that for me, but we'll see
Yeah.
what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens
Yeah.
here. She's ready to sign. She's ready to
Let
run.
let's do a Spartan one with all the coaching students.
That
Y'all
would
are
actually
down.
be cool. I love doing
Yeah, that
shit
would be
like that,
fun.
Genesis. I would do
That'd
it.
be
I would
fun.
be down to do it. Yeah, like I
I've
love.
always wanted to do one.
All right, well maybe we'll look and get it. Maybe we'll sign up a group now. See, this is what I get for asking John about something. Thinking to sign
Yeah.
up. We're just trying to make small talk. Now we're committed to doing the Spartan race.
No, it's fun. There's it's same time and location next year. So yeah, it'd be a lot
Cool.
of fun.
All right. All right, guys, let's jump into this. For those of you that were on our scripts training earlier, I mentioned that I have an appointment to call a seller here in about 10 minutes to discuss a offer that we're going to make. Not our offer, but we're basically going to do our tier two call right now, live with me, with them on the phone. So this should be pretty interesting. I want to give you guys just a brief overview of the actual property itself. So you have some context of what's going on. I'll tell you about the deal and the lead and all that stuff, and then we'll go from there. So let me share my screen really quick. And then I'm going to pull property radar up too. All right. Share tasks. All right, so I've got a bunch of open tasks here. So let me look at this property on Lansing Way. Okay, here's the backstory on this deal. So I actually went into Chicago Title yesterday randomly just to sign on 3 or 4 files that properties that we're getting ready to buy and sell. And literally, as I'm walking into the lobby at Chicago Title, Claudia, who works on Dana Bustamante's team, is in the lobby talking to 2 sellers. And I just walk in and I just get a seat because Claudia's there to do my signing and she's talking to them. And she goes, "Hey, you know what? Jason, who just walked in, can probably help you with your situation." So long story short, these 2 sellers have a house. Here is their house right here. There's the property there. I guess, and I don't know exactly how this happened, but their insurance company is forcing them to replace the roof. And you can see from Google Street View, the roof is in really, really rough shape. It absolutely looks like it needs to be replaced. It's very obvious from just a visual look on the outside. This is from February of 2022. So it's probably even worse than it is now, you know, if we're talking about 2.5, 3, almost 3 years later. So I think it was a husband and wife. I wasn't 100% sure. Long story short, it sounds like they're going through some type of separation. The insurance company got wind that their roof needs to be replaced. And it sounds like they're forcing them to replace the roof, or I think they're going to cancel their insurance policy, which can't happen. So they're just like, you know what? We just need to sell this house. We need to sell to an investor. The house needs some work. Let's just look at the house really quick. Then we're going to review Raya's numbers and then we'll get into the call. So what, for those of you guys that know Fresno, this is off of, let's see, Dakota and Blackstone and Dakota. Okay. Right here on Lansing. There's a top down view of the house. So it looks like a pretty decent sized yard. They got a big backyard. Here's a shot of the front of the house. Here's the neighborhood. What are our thoughts about this neighborhood, the house, area? What do we think about it? This is just my normal process of evaluation. Every single time a lead comes into my system, this is exactly what I do every single time. What do we think about this property, this area?
Neighborhoods like B minus, maybe C plus.
Yeah.
The windows might look like they've been replaced. It's just seeing the big white band in the middle. Yeah,
I
yard's
agree.
rough,
I
roof's
think the
rough.
windows look newer. Um, The roof definitely needs some work. John, I would agree with your assessment. I would probably call this like a C, maybe a C plus neighborhood. These are not that that's good or bad. It's just we're calling the neighborhood what it is. This is bread and butter for flipping and wholesaling. So I think about all the types of houses that make really good flips and really good wholesales, things that we can buy below the median price point, fix up and resell for at or below what the median price point is in Fresno. And the last time I checked, Fresno County was high 300s. This is definitely something that we're going to buy below and then resell. So our buyer pool is going to be big, should be easy to wholesale, easy to rent if we wanted to keep as a rental, or a pretty simple and straightforward flip. Okay. What other things? We see the roof. What don't we see on the house from the top down view?
No AC unit.
No AC unit is 100% right. So we're probably budgeting for an AC, budgeting for a roof. The windows look to be okay. Verbally from the wife yesterday, I heard that she said the whole house needs to be redone. I'm going to confirm that because today I'm talking with the husband. So I want to get his take on the condition of the inside. But for sure, we've got a roof and AC. Let's look at the transaction history. I like to look at the transaction history on Radar. One of the reasons why this is important, guys, is yesterday when I was chatting with them in the lobby, they said that they had a mortgage. That mortgage needs to get paid off, and obviously they're going to want to walk away with some money. So I always like to go to Property Radar, and we'll confirm ownership. So you've got Deanna and Christopher Walls. Okay, that's who I met yesterday. Deanna was who I was talking to. Chris is who I'm going to talk to today. It's a 2-bed, 1-bath, 1,052 square feet. It looks like they have, let's do this math together really quick so you guys know and understand how this works. Okay, they purchased this for $179 back in June of 2007. Okay, so they've had this property for quite some time, right? The estimated value based on Property Radar's algorithm is 256, and it says their equity is about 143,000. How do we come up with a projected loan balance? What's the math? It's pretty simple. John, you're talking, but you're muted.
Sorry, value minus equity.
That's right. So we just take 256, we subtract 143, and that's more or less what Property Radar is saying they owe on their loan. That math looks like to me about $113,000. Does that make sense to everybody? We're subtracting 256 from this, 113 grand. Let's double check that to make sense. They purchased it for 179 in 2007. 179. Okay. They've got a couple different loans here, right? They did some stuff with the city of Fresno, and we're going to have to ask about this. I don't know what this is. They did a second with the city of Fresno for 75 grand. They did a first here for $90,000. Those were both in 2007, and they did a third for 10. What does that tell us about this situation? What do we think that is? First, second, and third, and you see the city on here to help, right? So they got 179 purchase, $90,000 in first, 75 in second, and 10 in third. What does that look like to you, John?
They bought it with assistance. It was like they'll carry the silent third, something like that.
Yeah, there's even 4 actually. Shit, now that I'm looking at it, right? There's 4 on there as well. So now they got some down payment assistance, a silent second. It looks like there was a release of this 4th back in 2022, but they haven't refinanced it. It doesn't look like they pulled a ton of cash out. So I would imagine if they bought this for 179 in 07, and now it's, what's it now, 2024, almost 2025. They've had this thing for 16 years. Does a $110,000 loan balance seem about right to everybody? I think so. Okay. Let's quickly look at Raya's numbers here. All right. So here we go. Raya's numbers. She's got every single time we qualify a lead, then it goes to underwriting. Underwriting should produce 2 different things: a CMA that supports all of the sales here, in this area, and then a screenshot of our MAO calculator. Raya has our ARV at 310. She's got our rehab cost at 54,000, and she's got our max allowable offer at 185. So if we can pay 185 and their loan balance is 100 and let's call it $15,000, how much money are they walking away with in total?
70.
70 grand. That doesn't seem like the end of the world to me, honestly, right? Let's see if Zillow's working in our favor here. Is Zillow working in our favor? Raya's ARV was, let's call it 310. Zillow's 288. Is Zillow working in our favor a little bit? John, I
It does
see you
have the
shaking
zest.
your head.
It has the estimate at 308, but the top range of it. So yes and no.
Yeah, so I always look at this number here. I see what you're saying about the top end of the range. I think this is the number that really jumps out to just your normal homeowner, right? So I feel like it's working in our favor a little bit, because if we come in at 180 or 185, which is our max here, right? The homeowner is going to have to do some math and say, all right, Jason's got to do the roof. He's got to do this. He's got to do that. He's got to make some money. So we know we're selling this at a little bit of a discount. You know, that looks like it's working a little bit in our favor there. Okay. So literally right now, this is it. I'm going to call the seller, Chris. I have all the information that I need to jump on the call. I'm going to put him on speaker. I told him I'm going to call him right now at 12:45, and let's see how this thing goes. Just mute your guys' self. So then that way, if you're talking, nothing comes out while I'm on speaker, please. So let's mute everybody. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear.
Hello?
Hey, is this Chris?
Yeah.
Chris, what's up, man? It's Jason Pritchard. I met you and Deanna over at the Chicago title office yesterday. How you doing?
Yeah. I'm doing all right.
Good. Hey, I wanted to reach out personally, man. I text Deanna this morning. She said that it would be best if I called you directly about your house on Lansing. Do you have 10, 15 minutes tops just to talk about, where we're at on the property?
I was actually with her when you guys were texting, and then she realized she wouldn't be able to talk to you. So, yeah, she passed you to me now.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know we had touch base earlier, and I just want to make sure you have a few minutes to talk right now.
Yeah, sure.
Is there anything that you have as far as questions for me that you want to get out of the way? I think the point of this call for me, just so we're on the same page, is I want to get up to speed a little bit more about what's going on with the insurance company and just make sure we're on the same page as far as like the time frame of when you guys want to make a decision on the house. Obviously, we had a chance to run numbers, so I'll go over kind of the price range where I think we're going to be at. We haven't seen the house yet, so again, this is just a preliminary range. And then if it all makes sense and you're happy with those things, I would love to just, after this is all said and done, if you feel like, the price range is going to work and all those other terms are in place, we can just set up an appointment for either me or my team member to just walk the house, do a quick visual inspection, and then we can make you a formal offer and you guys can go from there. Does that work?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Sure.
All right. Let me just kick things off. I'm looking at your house over here on Lansing. I had a chance to do some homework here. It was kind of an interesting situation, just kind of walking into that thing when I was there at Chicago Title yesterday. So my understanding of what's going on was somehow, some way, the insurance caught wind of your roof, and then now it sounds like they're forcing your hand a little bit and trying to make you guys replace the roof. Is that correct?
Well, it actually is what they did was they just took the insurance off originally. They wanted me to remove some old parts of the roof like that they didn't like, so I cleaned it up and everything. And just what happened is they just removed some of the coverage already. I feel like they just want to go ahead and force us. They're probably figuring we would get a new roof eventually. So it seems like they want to push it now.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah, because they were having me sending pictures of all the sides and the front and all this kind of stuff of the roof. and stuff. So I was already working with them before. And now they just seem like they just gave us a timeline now. I think like February, end of February or something. I think the timeline where they want a roof, or they just won't even, they're just saying they're not going to, let us be insured at all. So that's kind of what's going on. That barely just like happened. And me and my wife's situation, she just, doesn't feel like we have the money to be sitting here and, taking care of it because of our, our situation. We're not like right now, like living together. And I actually got my mom and my bro over there right now.
Man, God, it sounds like you guys are going through a lot, dude. And first of all, I just want to say I'm sorry. I can only imagine this whole situation with the roof is probably just compounding all the other issues and making it more of a stressful kind of scenario.
Me and the wife have been married for like a long time, so we're hitting that point when you're just together for a long time, and when you just gets kind of tired. So we're just still trying to work through stuff. But yeah, the house situations just, bring some stress.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, hopefully we can be the team that you decide to work with on this thing to alleviate this stress. And maybe that helps you guys turn the page with some of the stuff in your personal life. And,
that's kind of what I'm hoping too.
Good. Well, hopefully we can put together an offer that makes sense and is a win-win for all of us here. Let me ask you a couple other questions about the house just to make sure we're on the same page. I've got this up on Google Street View. Looks like you guys are over there off of Dakota and Blackstone on Lansing. I know that area very well. We've done a number of houses over in that neighborhood in the 10 years that we've been in business. I own some rentals over there. So I definitely like the area and the neighborhood over there. This is looks like a blue house with a gray roof, maybe a converted garage. Is that the right one? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, that's the right one.
Okay, perfect.
We kind of raised our young ones up around the schools around there and stuff. So, it wasn't too bad living right there.
What were the schools? Is it Cooper, the middle school that you feed into, or not the middle school, but the elementary?
Yeah, it was that one, and then the other one.
Nice.
There's like two of them.
Good deal. How old are the kids now? Are they still at the house, or they're all grown up?
They're all up. Well, only one of them. One of them stays with me right now. We got a 16-year-old. All my other ones, they all grew up.
16's a rough age. I've got a 21 and a 23-year-old, and the wheels came off on my older son from like 15 to 17. It was crazy, man. And then he eventually came back around and got it together. But those teenage years, I ended up having to go back to my dad and apologize for how bad of a teenager I was when I was going through some of that stuff. Cause my kid, my kid was putting me through it. He's a good kid now, man. But I know what it's like raising teenagers. It's not easy.
Happened. Actually, it's kind of funny you brought that up. That's actually what kind of is almost like the camel that broke the back. We had our older son is like just turned 25, but he came back from the Army, so he had a lot of personal issues going on, and I wasn't allowed to, he didn't want to respect dad rules and dad stuff, living in the house, and the wife wanted me not to be in the way, so it actually. That kind of was kind of the splitting point in a way. Pretty much what actually was the son.
Yeah, man.
Our son went a little crazy, and I was like, I'm just a dad trying to get respect in the house, and I got this son just kind of going a little off the handles.
It's tough, man.
Not wanting to handle him.
And I prayed on it, man. And I talked with my dad about it because I've gone through even now, dude, with my older one, similar things. And I'm like, I'm just trying to. It seems like we just butt heads a lot. You know what I mean? And it's like like you. It's like, hey, son, you can't talk like you can't do these things. You can't talk like that. You have to have a certain amount of respect.
They're like this adult when they're like the adult point. That's like what it was. It was like. It's like it's like he didn't want to really give me the dad respect anymore because he's feeling like he's all grown now. So,
yeah.
And then, his mama not wanting to tell him, hey, don't talk to your father like that. Like, kind of letting him in a way.
Yeah. Mom's the good cop and we're the bad cop, dude. Yeah, no, I get it. I know how it is, man.
Yes. So that's actually what our thing is. So I'm actually hoping me and her could smooth things out, but because it was a son that set the whole spiral.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm sure, again, like I said, I mean, we still need to talk about price and all that other stuff, but I feel confident we'll be able to put something together that hopefully makes sense for you and Deanna, and that also makes sense for us.
This will help her too, because yeah, it'll help us.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
because I didn't like how we got in the house in the beginning. I actually was trying to tell her not to get it, and she really wanted just to get it. I just wanted to have like a one payment.
Yep.
And they kind of snuck in a 2 loan, or the city kind of threw some loans.
That's what
we had to pay some up.
I was going to ask you. I did all this stuff is public record, so this is all in the transaction history for the house. So we always do research. So it looks like you did a second, a third, and a fourth with the city. Was that like down payment assistance?
We paid off one with the city. We paid off one of them from the city, but they want like another 74 from one, and then 10 from another one.
Got it.
And then we got the one with the mortgage company. So it's like a total, like almost about 140 we still owe on it.
So 140, just to make sure we're on the same page. That sounds like in your head what the estimated balance is to pay everything off.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at it, and that's what I pretty much got. Literally 140 would be like, because it's actually 139, 733 and 97 cents or something. But you hear what I'm saying?
Got it.
Right there. So yeah, so you can see I was already annoyed with that, because I just wanted to, I've been the one that's been the main one paying it this whole time, and I just wanted to have it to be one loan, and I kept asking them about it, and it's like they kind of seemed like they kind of snuck these other payments, but they were making me believe I was just making one payment, when I signed originally for it.
Yeah, these programs, they all sound good. And, when we're at a different stage in our life and it's like, hey, this is a way for us to get in the house. And, we just try to cross our fingers and hope that it all works out. And then we get older and become a little bit more mature and we understand how things really work. Then you see kind of what you're up against. So I honestly, Chris, I still think just based off where I think we are going to need to be at to make this make sense as an investment property, you're definitely going to walk away with some cash in your pocket in this thing. And I know that's the goal, is to try to maximize that. So let me ask you a couple questions just about the house, because I know we've got to deal with the roof. Obviously, that's going to be something that's going to be done. On the street view and the satellite view, I can't see a central heating and air unit on the roof or on the side of the house. Do you guys have central heating and air or no?
Well, no, it was there isn't a central heating or air there. Originally when we got it, they had a swamp cooler up on the top.
Yep.
And the owner just took that off, and so what the owner did was kind of did a cheap, that roof that you see up there right now, the shingles that are laid up there, that was literally what the owner did. The cheapest shingles to lay. Yeah, and then just removed the swamp cooler. So and then she just had a cooler, a space in the wall, the stucco.
Yeah, like a window or a wall unit, right?
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah, it was just something cheap like that. I didn't really want to grab it, but it was like the only thing at the market at the time, and we paid. You seen how much we paid? That was like at the time.
It is what it is, man. You got to make it work the best that you can. So that's
what we did.
No, good deal. That's all good. Let me just ask you a couple other questions on the house before we move in. It looks like the garage is converted based on what I can see on the street view. Did you guys do that, or was it like that when you bought it?
It was like that when we bought it.
Okay. And then the windows are definitely not original to the house. At some point they were replaced. Are those windows that I see on there now, are those there when you guys bought it, or were those windows that you guys had replaced?
Some of them were there.
And then you guys have done some replacing too?
Let's see, not the windows in the front. There was like one window in the back or something.
Okay. All right. That's easy enough. That makes sense. And then have you guys done any major work to the house? Like, is the kitchen, the bathroom, the flooring, is that all original to when you guys moved in, or have you guys replaced any of that over the years?
The only thing was the flooring. Definitely probably gonna have to get replaced again. It was just I forgot what you call it, the flooring in there. Yeah, the flooring got replaced in the kitchen and stuff. It's just I forgot what they call it.
No worries. Don't worry about it. Like I said, at some point,
you snap
like a laminate.
Yeah, it was just laminate flooring, just
Got it.
kind of laid, and that was a long time ago.
No worries,
And
man.
really, it just is a cement flooring. So when I went there, the house was pretty kind of old, needed some touch ups.
Well, that'll be stuff that you don't have to worry about. Like I said, once we get to a price that we're both happy with, you guys won't need to fix anything. You don't even need to clean anything up. I mean, you guys can take whatever you want, leave the rest. You know, we want to make this process as easy as possible for you guys. So then that way you can focus on some of the other stuff.
My brother kind of babysitting the house. My mom kind of packed some stuff, but she could move all her stuff anytime.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah. So, they've been kind of taking care of the house for me. That's kind of what's been going on.
Perfect. All right. So if that's the case and mom and your bro are over there watching it, let's say, hypothetically speaking, we did come to an agreement that you were happy with and that made sense for us. Do you want to forlong or postpone the closing on this thing to a later date? Do you want to wrap it up sooner rather than later? What time frame would work for you guys if we got to a price that made sense?
Probably, wrap it up soon. Probably.
Soon works for us. I mean, the fastest we can do it, and I think we were talking about this a little bit with Claudia there yesterday. I mean, 7 to 10 days is usually the fastest. I don't know if you guys want it to happen that fast, but if you wanted it to be end of the month or maybe sometime in December, yeah, dude, it's totally up to you. We just, again, it's about your time frame, not ours. Okay.
Yeah. Probably got to give a little bit of time, obviously, so I can get my mom and my bro ready.
Yeah, for sure. Will you guys tell us when we want to do it? I think we'll get to a price that makes sense. You guys tell us when you want to close and we'll make that happen. So we'll make it as easy as possible. All right, let's get into I first of all, Chris, thanks man for just bringing me up to speed with everything. I really do feel like we can be the solution that hopefully at least gets this problem with the house off of your guys' shoulders, so then you and Deanna can kind of focus on trying to turn the page and get back into a better space. So I'd love to be the person in my company, be the one that buys this house and helps you guys get there. I know price is obviously going to be a big thing. It sounds like you guys have a balance of about 140,000 based on what you just checked as far as your numbers.
Yeah.
What are you guys wanting to walk away with as far as cash in your pocket once everything's paid? Also remember, there's no commissions, no closing costs. There are no like other hidden fees or anything. So really the only thing that we got to account for, as long as your property taxes and everything is current, is just paying that mortgage off. How much do you think in total you and Deanna want to pocket from the sale of this thing?
We were just kind of going to see what you can come up with. It's kind of what we were doing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, no. And again, I'm good.
Not really picking a number, just actually, see how it plays out.
Absolutely. And I'll get into that right now. You've been really, really transparent with me, and I pride myself in being transparent with you. I like to use the analogy that when I'm working with sellers like you, Chris, I like to play poker with the cards face up, right? There's no hidden anything. It's just, here's where we're at. It's all a business for us. I never tried to hide the fact that, this would be an investment for us. But most importantly, you and Deanna have to be happy with the number. And we've got to find some middle ground where you understand that we've got to buy it at a price where we can address the roof, the floor, the kitchen, the bathrooms. And we'd probably be turning around and selling this thing on the open market, kind of similar to what you see with the TV shows. You know what I mean? And so you guys have to be okay with leaving a little bit of the equity that you have on the house on the table, because we are buying it as an investment. And then, we want to make this a quick and clean and easy transaction for you. So let me kind of talk to you about, again, we haven't seen the house yet, so this is not my offer, but this is kind of where I'm thinking the price is going to end up, more or less. So let me kind of give you an idea about what we're seeing in the market, and then we'll see if that's something that you guys are open to. So the way it works for us, Chris, is we basically, first thing we do is we go look at your neighborhood right there off of Dakota and Blackstone, and we start looking at all the other properties that have recently sold over there, right? We want to look at other ones that are the same size, the same bedroom and bathroom count, most importantly, the same condition, because it's got to be like an apples to apples comparison. Does that make sense? We can't compare a house that's fully redone to a house that needs a lot of work, right? So we're going to look at some of the houses that need some TLC and are maybe a little bit more of a fixer-upper. And what we're seeing is, it looks like the market's showing us that other investors are paying somewhere on the low end. And again, this is not our offer. This is just what the market's showing us. On the low end, for houses that need a lot of work. We're seeing investors buy those for 150 to 155,000, and then it goes up to 170, 175. Again, I'm not saying that's our offer, but would that be a price range that you guys would even consider?
I would say, let's see. I would say, probably.
And here's the promise that I want to make to you, man. You sound like a really cool guy. I don't believe it was an accident that we met yesterday. Like, what are the chances, dude, that you guys happen to walk into Chicago Title? You're looking for somebody that's an investor that can buy your house.
I actually pray.
And I don't believe in coincidences, man. And I just happen to have an appointment, and right there, I walk in as you and Deanna are sitting there. I believe that we were meant to meet each other. And I want to get you guys the strongest possible offer that I can possibly put together. And so even if we can come up a little bit on that number, I want to make the commitment that we're going to do our best to try to put as much money in your pocket as you can. I can understand your situation. I have personal experience going through that same situation that you're in right now. So I feel for you in that sense. And I know what it's like to want to try to get this problem resolved, so then that way you can have some clarity and maybe you and Deanna can get back on the same page. So here's the next steps.
That's all I've been trying to do, man. She's the one that did the walking.
Dude,
I just did the right. All I did was a dad that just did the right thing.
You're preaching to the choir, brother. You don't need to explain yourself to me, man. I know exactly what it is that you're going through, and I feel like this just having some. Yeah, dude.
There's some other stuff too. I'm like, I taught him better than that.
I believe it. My wife is sitting over here smiling in the background, so she knows. I think she wants us to put a deal together too, man. And I think she wants you guys to work it out, dude. So I would love to be the guys that help you figure this out. I think having clarity with this situation is only going to be it's only going to help you and Deanna hopefully work this thing out. And so I want to get one of my team members over there. You would be meeting with Marissa, who runs all of my acquisitions here. I trust her very much. She's going to walk the property really quickly. I'm going to let her know where we're at as far as price. I'm going to give her the instruction that if we see anything that's at the house that we can salvage, that we can hopefully strengthen our offer a little bit more, because we really want to get Chris and Deanna as much money as we can. I can get Marissa out there as soon as later this afternoon or sometime tomorrow. Which one would be best for you guys?
I mean, let's see. Well, Deanna would probably want to be a little.
Both of you guys would need to be there. Both of you are on title, so we would need both of you there.
And that's what I was thinking, because I could be there anytime. It's just I probably have to work on it tomorrow, because I'll have to check with her. Because her work schedules, she just barely started up in her work schedule, so I'd check with her.
Do you want to put me on hold and then give her a call and see if she has a time frame for tomorrow?
Let me check.
I'll hang tight, man. Why don't you just give her a buzz and then we can try to lock something in?
Yeah, well, because it's the way she is, she won't probably answer her phone.
Or I can try to call her. I don't want to, again, this is not about pressure. It's just clarity more than anything else. If you feel like she'll answer my call, I can call. If not, you can try to call her, whatever you think's best.
Yeah. Let's see. I can definitely probably get a hold of her, because she does pay attention. So I could just get a hold of her and find out if she'll be free, what time she'll be free tomorrow. More like morning, kind of before the noon time. I think
morning would be better for us too. I know that for what.
Okay, yeah, for her, if I was gonna probably get a hold of her, it'd definitely be morning.
Okay, why don't you do this? You've got my cell. I know Deanna's got my cell. I feel like we're right here.
Right back.
Okay, well, yeah, here you go. Answer the phone and then see if tomorrow morning works for her, and then we can set up a time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we can set up the time. I'll get a hold of her today and find out for sure. And
Okay.
then let you know.
All
I'll
right.
let you know today for sure. So that what you're gonna kind of aim for, what you're aiming for is right now about 175, right?
And if we can go a little bit more, again, it all depends on what we can salvage over there, because we're basically
Okay.
looking at a 1,100 square foot, more or less, house, new roof, new AC, new kitchen, new bathroom,
Yeah.
new paint. You know what I mean? Like with the cost
Yeah.
of inflation and all this stuff, we're going to end up putting in 60, 70 grand into this property. So we got to buy it at a price where we can go dump 60, 70 grand into it. It's going to sell for high twos, low threes. We're not getting rich off this thing. You know what I'm saying? It's just something where we've got to have a little room in there to make a few bucks on this. So, I mean, at that point, if
Yeah,
you guys,
to really be honest, I mean, if you can push a little more, that'd be good.
I get it.
Net range, this range, I'm just saying because I can tell you already you do this a lot. So the range that you're aiming at, I would say, well, it can work.
good.
I'll
And
just tell you it can work because I already like talked to my wife and she kind of was kind of letting me know the range in a way, but she was kind of hoping. So I would say it looks like it's working, and if push it a little more.
listen, I'm the owner of the company, and I'm going to give Marissa direct instruction that if there's anything that we can do, just because I want to try to, with everybody, we want it to be a win-win. But again, going back to the discussion that we just had, I do think it was meant to be that we cross paths. And so it's important for me that we have a positive impact on your guys, and you guys feel good about this. And if Marissa can see something over there once we put our eyeballs on it that allows us to ratchet that number up from that 175 price, I'm going to give her direction to go ahead and do that. So the goal would be tomorrow for us to walk it. Marissa, right there, after we look at it, she's done this tons of times, so she has a lot of confidence in this. We're going to try to, walk it. And as long as you guys are good, I don't expect the price to be any lower than that 170, 175 number. So if you guys are good with that, I think it's only upside from there. And if you guys are good, the only thing that you need to discuss with Marissa is when you want this to close, when you want the money in your account. So then that way you can go, and then that's it.
Okay. Well, it sounds good. I just gotta get a hold of the wife.
Perfect. All right. I will circle back with you. If I don't hear later on this evening, just either by a phone or text with an appointment, is okay if I just check back in with you?
Yeah, you can check back in.
All right. If you hear from Deanna before that and you have a time where both of you guys can be there tomorrow, just shoot me a text. I know Marissa's available, so we'll just confirm, okay?
All right.
Awesome, man. Dude, it was great talking to you, Chris. You have any other questions or anything for me before we jump off the phone?
No, that's pretty much it.
All right. I appreciate you, brother. We'll talk soon, and look forward to putting a deal together with you on this thing, okay?
Okay. All right.
Thanks. Man, still fucking got it, dude. Still got it. Look at that. Look at
He
that.
still got it.
That was good. That was really good. I should fucking sell that call right there. Just that call right there. We're going to package and resell. What do you guys think? I mean, that was, we got about 15 minutes before I got to jump here. So that was like textbook, the textbook seller call right there. The only other thing, and you saw that I pushed for it right at the end. I would have loved to have gotten the appointment confirmed right there on the spot, right? Like I would have and then I asked him, I said, hey, do you want to call her? Do you want to text her? Do you want to, I pushed enough to where I felt like, hey, let's just not leave any loose ends on this thing. But, at that point, I didn't feel like it made sense to try to push any harder. I feel like we had a ton of rapport. We were there connecting very early on in the call. We'll recap everything from the call right now. But I mean, that was from the opening sequence to set the expectations for what we're going to do, to uncovering more information, get the conversation rolling, build rapport, uncover motivation, paint that picture perfect scenario on what we're trying to do by making the offer, presenting the offer range, going back and forth on the numbers. I mean, that was it. That was exactly what we want to do. Any questions, feedbacks, thoughts from anybody about that call?
Hey, Jason, I feel like I prepped you pretty good for that when I was a little rougher than that guy, but
you were good, dude. So for those of you guys that weren't on script training, I knew that I was going to call this guy, right? And so I wanted to just rehash this because this is normally what Scott would be doing. So for those of you guys that don't know, I'm calling this seller because Scott is in the midst of having a baby right now. So if you guys know Scott, right, send Scott a congratulatory text. The baby has not come yet. At least I haven't heard the news, but his wife Kayla has been in labor. They are at the hospital. They are like, yeah, her water broke yesterday at noon. So Scott's been over at the hospital for 24 hours. So yeah, no, it's been pretty cool experience. So now I am jumping in, and between myself and Marissa and the sales team, we're doing some follow-up on these calls. And it really was that situation again from the people that were not on script training. I literally went into Chicago Title yesterday to sign on a handful of packages, a house that we're buying and 2 houses that we're selling. I had an appointment at 4. I walked into the lobby, and Chris and Deanna, his wife, were sitting right there in the lobby. Claudia from Dana's team was out there talking to them. They just walked into Chicago Title and said, hey, we're looking for investors that would buy our house. Our house needs work, and we're looking for somebody. Do you have a referral? And what are the fucking chances that Jason just is walking in right at the time these people are there? They don't know anybody from Chicago Title. They just happen to randomly pick Chicago Title. It's, you guys, I always talk about how the universe will deliver these things for you. And most of us, we look at them as like, you know, they're just, it's a coincidence or it's just some synchronicity. And it's not. These are all signs that you guys are doing the right thing. And just sometimes we have to pay attention to those signs when they're coming out. And I was getting ready to sign. I had what I would consider like our qualification call right there in the lobby with them, right there. I was sitting in the lobby and I was like, tell me more about the house. What's going on? And that's when I found out about the insurance situation. They mentioned right there to me that, hey, we're kind of going through some personal stuff and this and that and what's going on. You know, the house needs some work. We need to send to an investor. We just need to get rid of this thing. That was the extent of what I had. I messaged Raya in Slack. I said, Raya, I'm here at Chicago. I need this numbers run on this thing. Everything is ready to go. Raya sent everything over yesterday. I text the wife this morning. I said, hey, can you get on a call at 12:45 because I wanted to do this call with you guys on the training. And then she said, call Chris. Chris did zero talking yesterday. So I had zero rapport with Chris, right? So yesterday I did all the talking with Deanna. Chris said one word to me yesterday. We shook hands and said, nice to meet you. And that was it. So think about that scenario. I didn't know what to expect from Chris. Chris was really kind of quiet. So I thought maybe it was going to be a little bit more of a process getting him to open up. But you guys saw me from the beginning. I asked questions and I just shut up and I let him talk. And that was the most important thing that I think that you could do. Like just from not interjecting and stepping all over the seller and constantly interrupting, I just let him go. And I would just tee up a question and let him go. And then tee up another question and everything came out. And then what happened when I started picking up on instances that I could build rapport with him on. What did you guys, for those of you guys that were really paying attention to the whole call, especially at the beginning, what were the rapport building things that I did in order to start developing that trust in that relationship with him? What were the things?
His son.
Talked about his son, father, son, right? And that's a very authentic thing for me. I asked him about his kids and I said, how old are your kids? And he said, oh, we've got a 16 and a 25-year-old. I've got a 21 and a 23-year-old. And I always make the joke, and any parents that have teenagers, they know teenage years can be a little difficult. And I always kind of toss that joke out. Now, I didn't know if that was going to really impact or not, but look what happened. It absolutely did. And then him and I connected right away after that, right? Because he seems to be kind of like, hey, I'm just trying to keep my son in line. My son is fighting me on that. I've gone through same issues with my older son, right? So him and I connect really easy. Now, that's a textbook example of how you can in a 15, I was on the phone with Chris for, let's see. How do I figure out how long I was on this guy? 25 minutes. I was on the phone with Chris for 25 minutes. I'm essentially a stranger. Chris and I were, from the beginning to the end of the call, it felt like Chris and I had lots of rapport that was built from start to finish, right? So when we practice in our script training, here's how you build rapport. This is why you're listening for these problems that come up. How do we label that problem? And then do our framework, right? Where we acknowledge the problem, make the seller feel understood, show them how we're going to provide value and fix it. I did that multiple times throughout that conversation. Okay. And then what did we do? Right? I labeled what his picture perfect scenario was, right? Like, hey, man, maybe if you get this house taken care of, right? And you get the stress of having to worry about this house off your shoulders. What does Chris want? What does Chris want out of this situation? He said it multiple times.
Fix things with his wife.
He wants his wife to get their relationship and their marriage back on track, right? Like, do you think that he's going to care as much about the price, where if he can envision the sale of the house being the thing that allows him to get back into his good graces with his wife, he's not going to be as caught up on the numbers, right? We still have to make a reasonable offer, but he's in much more of an emotional state, right? So we put him in that emotional state to say like, hey, Chris, we want to be the team. I want my company to be the company that buys the property, takes the stress off your plate. So then that way, right, when you do get this off, you and Deanna can hopefully reconcile and get to where you want to go. That's what the guy wants, right? That's his picture perfect scenario. Then we went into price, and he didn't even really push back on price. And we, again, made the price. And what do you do after you put the offer out? You zip it and don't say anything, right? You have to let them process and talk about this, okay? And he was like, well, yeah. And then finally he's like, yeah, that will work. I think that would work, right? And now we're in there. Now we're automatically in there. It's like, when can we get somebody out there? And I'm even okay coming up a little bit I want to come up a little bit on price if we can, right? I want to put some money in their pocket. Like, I genuinely believe all the things that I told them over the phone. So I thought that was good. Any questions, comments? What are your guys' thoughts?
Hey, I know you said you had more rapport or more conversation with the wife. He sounded like he was good with the price right there. Do you expect any resistance from Diana? And if it does come up, like, do you have any thoughts on how that's going to go?
I felt like he said at the end when we were going back and forth on price, that him and Deanna had kind of talked about where they thought that they were going to be at, and she was okay with that, right? So that, I think, that's a really good question, Demetrio, and it just kind of happened naturally. I feel like he was the one that brought it up. Had he not brought it up, I would have definitely said like, hey, you guys are both on title, right? You know, this is a scenario that we're going to come up a lot on, right? Where it's like either a divorce situation or two sellers that maybe not on the same page. And we always want to get confirmation that the other decision maker, and she is 100% another decision maker in this scenario, they have to be on board with that. But I thought she said that, somebody put that in the chat. His wife came up with the range, but he never gave me the range. So our range just happened to hit, right? And that's why we always do the exercise of presenting the range based on, again, for those of you that remember, our max offer on this thing based off Raya's calculation was, here is 185. So those of you guys that missed this portion, these are the numbers that Raya ran yesterday, okay? So when I sent this lead over to Raya, immediately she crunched the numbers. Her ARV's at 310. Her rehab number's 54,000. Raya has no information besides it needs a new roof. That's literally the only piece of information that I gave Raya, okay? And Raya has 32 grand for the rehab. She's got a roof. She's got windows. She's got an AC. This number could be maybe ratcheted up to 60, but I feel like right there we're 55 to 60 grand for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house that's 1,000 square feet. I feel like this is pretty simple and straightforward. And we have a little bonus because some of the windows are there, right? The windows on the front are good. The windows on the front of the house, they may not be brand new, but those are dual pane windows, and you can tell because of the grid that's on there, right? So we may not even need to do the windows on this house. I don't love that the garage has been converted. And one of the things, Marissa, that you're going to need to keep an eye out on when you go on this appointment tomorrow is this shows that we are 1,052 square feet. We want to make sure, is it 1,052 square feet with the garage? Or is this house 1,052 square feet? Let's measure this thing actually and see. It If I had to guess, it's 1,052 with the garage. Let's measure. So for those of you guys that don't know this, when you're looking on Google Street View, top down, you can just right click and hit measure distance. And then we do another click here. And then we do another. I just want the house first, not the garage. We do another click here and we do another click here. And then we do another click here. And that says, what is that? Did I do that wrong?
No, at the bottom, boss.
Oh, there it is.
Little tab.
888 square feet. There it is. Correct. So that 1,052, I bet you it includes this garage conversion. Okay. So we're 888 for the front house. Let me close this out. Let's measure this. And it says 231. So 231 plus 888.
1119.
1119. And our square footage on our house is 1,052. So definitely looks like the garage was converted and is included in the square footage of the house. Now, that is, it's good to know that. It would be better if it wasn't. It'd be better if we had our own garage, but this house is still going to sell, right? It doesn't matter. At this price point in this area, in this neighborhood, I still think we're good. So now, what I'm going to do after we get off this call, I have both of their phone numbers. I'm going to put us on a group chat right now, just as my way to follow up with them and kind of get a line of communication going with everybody. I'm basically going to say, hey, Deanna and Chris, it's Jason. I just had a really great conversation with Chris. I feel like we are going to be able to put a deal together that makes sense for everybody. Can we please confirm a time tomorrow morning that my team member, Marissa, can go over and walk the property and get you guys a formal offer, right? And now we're setting the expectation that Marissa's going to go and ink the deal tomorrow. We want to walk in there with a contract that's already filled out. Everything except price and close of escrow date are the only two things that are left blank. Everything else is there, ready to go. Marissa can go all the way up to, I'd say 180 on this. They're happy with the price that they're at. 180 is probably where I would keep the max on this, even though our MAO on Rise is 185. I want a little bit of extra cushion in there just in case this rehab goes over 55,000. So I say 180 is probably the max that you want to go. And I think Marissa knows what to do. This should be a pretty simple and straightforward deal for us to get locked up.
Jason, I had a quick question. The reason that you didn't push for the appointment today with just the husband is because mainly the wife sounds like she's like the main decision maker, even though he's part of it. Is that why you kind of didn't push it to walk it today and then just like send the offer via DocuSign?
So I always like to say, hey, I can be out there later today or this time tomorrow. Which one of these are better for you? Right. So it's driving to get an appointment in person. I'm going to answer your DocuSign question first, and then I'll talk about why I set the appointments up that way. I feel like we have lots of rapport with this seller, right? I feel like it isn't a competitive bid situation. One of the things I didn't ask is if they've talked to any other investors. That would be a good thing to maybe have thrown in the conversation that we were having. I just didn't do it. It didn't feel like that. It would amaze me that if another investor called up this guy, Chris, and got into more rapport than I did with him. So I feel like we definitely have the inside track here. And so for me, I would much rather, this feels like something that everybody would feel better just signing in person. That's just me instinctually, Jen, just based off of all the conversations that I've had with sellers. I feel like if I had just said, yeah, dude, you guys want to do 180? I'll send it over to you right now. The likelihood that we get something signed and we lose rapport is probably higher versus just pushing to go over there and get it signed tomorrow. And I set the expectation that we're going over there to give you an offer and get a contract signed. You know what I mean? And so this is what we're trying to do. So I think that felt like the right move for me. I would have rather had, but when he said tomorrow, I have to kind of honor the choice that I gave him of like later today or tomorrow, right? I could have just said, hey, I can be out there later at this time, but I usually just give two different times. So that was how we went with that.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions, guys? Any other questions? Comments, thoughts? Chris said 185 is your 12% profit, your minimum. Chris, yes, we will calculate on our MAO calculator. It automatically takes our purchase price, our rehab costs, our holding costs. It rolls those numbers up, and we want to make a minimum of 12% off of that number. We want a 12% cash on cash return off that number. So that's where on here it's showing a $38,000 profit margin. But I bet you we could, that's just as a flip. So here's another thing that we can discuss and talk about on here, right? So let's look at our MAO calculator. So this says if we buy it for 185, we put 55 grand into it, and we sell the house for 310. Our calculator says we're going to make 38 grand as a flip. So on paper, we think 38,000 is what we would make as a flip. Now what we're going to do is explore potential wholesale exit looks like. And if I can make I don't think that that's really going to impact mortgages. If anything, mortgages have gone up after the last Fed cut. I would rather take $25,000 or $30,000 in an assignment that I know is a sure thing versus closing on this thing, fixing it all up just to make $38,000. If we can get 30 grand right now in an assignment fee or a quick wholesale, I would do that before I signed it. So, or before I flipped it. So, you have lots of different options here. And at that price point, I think we definitely can make something happen there. Good question about that. What other questions do we have? In the chat. Father, son, same 185. More than likely does not include the garage. That's correct. Anything else? Anything else, guys? Any questions before we jump off? Cool. Well, hopefully you guys got something valuable out of this training. I felt like it was a good one. That was like as real of a scenario as you guys can get there, right? That was an actual true call. That's exactly the way that I would have wanted to look and sound like. We mirror these situations in our trainings, right? Because we want the call to sound like that, right? So the trainings feel redundant and repetitive, and they're supposed to be because we need practice, guys, right? You don't get, especially if you're new, you don't get that many opportunities to have like real live calls like that. So we got to take advantage of the time that we have together to really mirror those scenarios. So when you're there, you know how to do it. And that worked out probably as good as I could have expected it to. So overall, that was really good. Marissa, I'll keep you posted on the appointment date, and then we will see you guys next week for some more training. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Bye, guys.
Bye.